Howdy out there, folks. Today I'm going to be looking at Benjamin Button, a film directed by David Fincher and starring Brad Pitt and Cate Blanchett. And this is a really interesting movie. It's one of the more unique installments or offerings from the Criterion in that the packaging, apart from the slipcase, which is nice, two floating heads, though, isn't exactly the most inspired ad campaign. But in any case, it's got the slipcase, but then basically the disc itself is just your standard Blu-ray Amaray case. And of course it contains a little packet of information as well as a separate disc for the supplemental features and then the Blu-ray disc here for the film. And firstly, I just want to point out, there's certainly no denying that David Fincher knows how to lens a movie. The guy is incredibly sharp. I actually really love his series on Netflix, Mindhunter. I feel like that's a nice extension on the whole serial killer genre. And of course, it's historical fiction. But in any case, I digress. This film here, I think, on balance, works pretty well. It certainly swings for the fences. It's a movie that apparently the script has been around for some time, had been around for some time before it was finally made, and it was just a question of, how can we make this movie given the nature of the story. The effect work just simply wasn't there when the screenplay was first written, and some of the supplemental features really dive into that, and it's really quite interesting because the story, of course, has evolved over time as well. But finally, David Fincher agreed to do it, and of course he got Brad Pitt and Cate Blanchett, who are just two terrific choices for their respective parts. And I've always thought Cate Blanchett is a terrific actor, whereas Brad Pitt, I think, has become a very good actor. Early on, I wasn't as impressed with his acting, but I think he has certainly come a long way, and he's a solid actor. I wouldn't put him in like the top tier, but he's very good. He's certainly a good example of someone who has, learned to sort of master their craft over their career. But, of course, the movie itself, the conceit is that Benjamin Button is born an old man, ostensibly, in a baby's body, and then as time marches on, he ends up aging backwards, and then finally, at his death, he goes right back to infancy again. But of course, instead of being an infant with an old body, he's an infant that's basically, it's hard to explain, really, quite frankly. And to be honest, I don't even think the writers know exactly how that would work. But basically, he just ages in reverse until he finally passes away. And it's a fascinating look at the human condition and what it means to live a life, and whether perhaps that might not be the better approach to go. Because, of course, as we age, and if we're lucky enough to live long enough, the idea is that at least your mind has learned a thing or two, and just as you're sort of getting a hang of things, your body's falling apart. Whereas in this idea, Brad Pitt, as he's getting younger and better looking and ostensibly physically in his prime, he's matched that with a mind that is very, very sharp and has lived a long, meaningful life. So it's a fascinating story. Now, of course, the one suspension of disbelief that you have to just go with is, how people who know him seem not to look at him as a freak show oddity. They're just sort of taking it as just a matter of fact. And I'm not quite sure that totally works, because I do feel like if that was truly happening, he would end up being a science experiment for the government or something to figure out why it is he's aging in reverse. But, if you can just kind of get beyond that and just go with the film, I think you'll be rewarded mightily by some terrific acting and beautiful cinematography, and I think an interesting story. So I definitely enjoyed the film, and I picked this up used for $5, and it's a Criterion, so the transfer is going to look good. The supplemental features are great, and I just think it's a very unique film that absolutely deserves a watch. So on that note, please take care, everyone, and until that next time.